What's up everyone, Business here, and in today's episode we will be talking about adding effects to your signal. Whether it's a guitar or bass or piano, drums, MIDI, instrument, whatever it would be, at some point you will probably want to add some effects. That could be reverb, delay, anything else. So today we will find 3 ways on how to do that. There are 3 different ways, and each one of them has its advantages and drawbacks at the same time. So let's jump into Ableton and I'll show you how it's done. Okay, so we're in Ableton Live and I've recorded just a couple of notes on the piano just for the sake of demonstration. Okay, so this is a dry signal and we will be adding effects to this signal today. So the first thing that comes into my mind and to your mind on how to add the effect would be at the end of a chain. So let's do that quickly and I'll show you how it's done. Very simple. So let's go to audio effects. Let's find a reverb. That's the one we will be working on today mostly. So just a regular reverb will do. Let's add it at the end of a chain. We can either drop it here or we can drop it at the end of the open chain. So that's how it looks like. Let's tweak it a little bit before we play and let's listen to that now. Okay, sounds nice, not so bad. What if you want to add more reverb? Let's get crazy, let's go straight to 100%, but actually, let's go gradually to 100%. Okay, what happened is when we added full 100% of the wet signal, we lost all the dry signal, which is pretty much self-explanatory, but not ideal. Sometimes we want to keep a little bit of the dry signal. This is a little drawback of this actually method. Okay, so this method has an advantages. The first of these will be, I guess, the ease of use. So we just put your reverb or any effect that you want at the end of the chain and it works straight away. Second thing, you can add multiple effects or different reverbs to each track that you have, whether it's a piano, drums, guitar, anything. Each one of them can have a different reverb if you prefer to do so. Okay, but what are the disadvantages? It could be CPU intensive when you add more and more of these effects on each track. The second thing, we are losing all the dry signal while we turn into the wet side. We want to keep some dry signal sometimes, depending on what you want to do. And the third thing, we can't really process the signal that comes into the reverb and shape it before it hits the reverb. So we have this little low cut, high cut here. We can work on that, of course, but it will also affect the whole signal that gets through the reverb and goes at the end of the chain. So that's not ideal as well. So let's find another way on how to add a reverb or any effect to your chain. So the second will be on the return track. Pretty easy, and actually Ableton has already preset 2 effects. One is reverb, one is delay on your return tracks. So how to add this one? Let's first remove the reverb from our piano. And let's just turn this little knob with letter A, which is for reverb, or B for delay. Let's turn that up while we play. Hi, so that was a recording BusyLess and I'm the editing BusyLess. While I was editing the video, it occurred to me that I didn't mention one actually very important thing on how to create a return track and add effects to it. Okay, so that's how we do it. So the thing is very simple. You just need to right click anywhere in this panel and choose the third option, insert return track, or press Command Option T. Let's test it out. Command Option T. Yeah, that's our return track. So now select one of the tracks and put any effect that you like. Let's go crazy. EQ8. Let's get hybrid reverb, regular reverb, and then let's destroy it with erosion at the end. Now when you have this EQ8, you can also, of course, rename it. Destroyer sounds nice, and that's a C. So anytime you want to add a signal to that return track, just twist the C knob and that's it. Okay, back to the video. Okay, so now we have beautiful reverb and we also have the full dry signal intact, which is cool. That's what we like to do. So what are the advantages of doing it this way? It will be less CPU intensive if you want to direct a couple of these tracks to one reverb, because you have only one reverb that can take signal from many instruments and process them only once, so that's less CPU intensive for sure. The second advantage is we are not losing the dry signal when we send it through. The third thing, and actually really important thing, that we can process the input signal of a reverb like we see here. We can add a EQ to that. And we can strip all the frequencies that we don't need. And only these frequencies that we allowed to are going to go through the reverb. And then we're going to hear them at the end of the reverb. Very simple. What about disadvantages? Are there any disadvantages? The first thing that comes to my mind is that you won't be able probably to have too many of the different reverbs on a send tracks, which would probably make no sense to have 2, 3, or 4 different ones when you can put them on each track. So I guess when you want to direct 2 or 3 or 4 instruments or more instruments to the same type of reverb, you just create a return track and send them all there. Same with delay or any other phaser, chorus, whatever you come up with. Okay, but there is also a third way on how to add a effect rack. I'll show you how it's done. It's actually very simple as well. So let's go back and let's cancel these out. Let's add a reverb to the piano first. It will be here in audio effects, reverb. Let's add it here. Let's listen to that again. Okay, cool. Now, what we want to do is to group this thing. It's the easiest way to do it. So on Windows, you press Ctrl G, and on Mac, you press Command G to group, or right click. There's a group button here. What happened? We got that little strip at the beginning. We can open that by pressing the last circular icon, and we have our chain here. This is our chain that goes through the effect and gets to the other side. For the moment, nothing really changed too much. So the whole signal goes from the instrument through the chain, through the reverb, and at the end. But it will quickly change when we add another chain. And this time, this will be a clean one without any effects in it. We will call it dry, and we can call it either reverb or wet, whatever you prefer. So now we can put our reverb to 100% wet, but take it off here. So now we have a fully dry signal. And now when you add it back to 0, so basically pretty much the same as we would do as a return track, but we can have multiple of these effects on each different track, and they all can be slightly different, tuned in to the instrument perfectly, or we can also EQ that signal before to strip any frequencies that we don't need to hit the reverb by going here to the EQ, EQ8 again, adding it at the beginning of the chain here, and then we can strip the low frequencies and only throw the high frequencies through the reverb, if that makes any sense. So what are the biggest advantages of that? First, we can EQ the signal before. Second, we will not lose the dry signal if we don't want to. The third, we can set multiple different types of reverb for each different track. But there are also disadvantages, because doing so, we will sacrifice a little bit of our processing power of our CPU. And the second drawback I can think of, it's probably a bit more difficult to set up at the beginning. When you do it once, you'll probably know how to do it for the rest of your days. Okay, so if you have any more ideas on how to add effects, or if you have any questions, please leave them in the comment box down below. I'm really happy to help and answer. Of course, don't forget to subscribe. That helps a lot, guys. And as always, thanks so much for watching, and see you guys in the next video. Cheers!